Welcome back. Now let's look at what's happening in Kogi State. Kogi decides today, and the people are gradually going out, getting accredited, and the elections is expected to be underway. 21 local governments in Kogi State, 22 parties, political parties involved in this election. 22 contestants, of course, and we have over 1 million people that are registered voters. So we expect that everything, of course, will go well. We'll be talking about Kogi Decides, and we have in the studios lawyers. We have 2 lawyers indeed.
So we are sure that we're within the confines of the law.
We have Mr. Laberos Oshoma. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
My pleasure.
And of course, Mr. Tony Daniel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kogi Decides today. What do you expect?
Oh, well, this is the first major election that will be organized during the Buhari regime, right? Yeah, so it will be a test, for his ability to conduct a free and fair election. I expect the elections to be free and fair. I must say that the security arrangement is in top shape too. I've read that they have dusted their intelligence gathering units, and they get information beforehand and they take preemptive action. We have enough policemen there, the civil defense corps are also there, the DSS are there, military are deployed. We also, read about the concern of the PDP about the military deployment. It was a change of table, because those days when Jonathan was there, it was the APC that was complaining. Other parties were complaining when they bring a military. But I think we are likely to see a free and fair election, and the contest is going to be very tight. You never can tell who will win.
Okay, Mr. Shoma.
I will take it from where my brother Tony Daniel stopped. Yes, looking at all of these issues, but are there concerns? For me, there are genuine concerns on the part of INEC. Right from Edo election, you saw one, logistic problem, kept reoccurring. That the Edo election, if you remember, as this time, Oshomole had already raised alarm, about voting material, deployment of voting materials and the rest. That INEC attempted to correct with the Anambra election, even though, we saw the deployment of military and all of that in that election. But we also saw how the staffs of INEC, the EO in, I think, Ndemili North and South local government compromised the process until date. Nobody knows what became eventually of that matter, because he was reported to the police. Also, we saw this recurrent logistic problem, and in the presidential election, it was the height of logistic problems. And so that's where, for me, I expected that immediately after the election, while taking stock of what transpired, we also expect INEC to, sit up, address these problems. But at that time, we also knew that INEC had a declining board.
INEC had its own internal issues.
It had its own internal issues. And so, it took the intervention of Femi Falana, a renowned lawyer in Nigeria, to draw the attention of the president to the fact that elections in Kogi and Bayelsa are approaching. As it stood at that time, INEC, that ought to have a board of 13 members, only had 2 members. And so that if those 2 members go ahead to conduct election, there will be problem. And so a board was inaugurated just barely, not up to 2 weeks now. And so that board now is the one that is to conduct this first election. And so to me, I'm not expecting so much.
Okay, just hold on.
From what he has said, he's talked about the card reader, where a few 1 or 2 incidents here and there, but basically everything's been going smoothly. Is that what you expected?
Yes, like I said in my opening remark here, that I expect an improved, a fairer and a better election. I, premise this position on the fact that, one, the police made impressive arrangement for security, the DSS, the military presence, because that is a boundary state between the South-South and the north, and we've heard of incident of Boko Haram, incident of armed robbery, but I'm very sure with the presence of so many security personnel, I don't think any criminal would be bold to want to disrupt that election. Having said that, I also feel that the new INEC members would want to, improve on what has been done before. And despite the shortcomings of the elections of the past, I must say that Jega did a good job. So any person coming after him will see the responsibility as a challenge and the tendency to want to improve on what Jega has done. So it was based on this that I said, I'm not too surprised with the report from your correspondent. But if we want to look at election generally, then we can start bringing in, other issues. But we're looking at Kogi State as it is now. I expect a good election. I don't expect any crisis. I don't think there will be any crisis. I also expect the result to be, the result will not be compromised. I don't think it will be compromised. That's my take on that.
Liberals, you're going to say something.
Yes, basically, I want to take it from where I stopped. I'm not, like he said, the basic, issues, foundations in election. But we have, since 1999, we'll be conducting elections in Nigeria since 1999, and every election we conduct, we always hear of this either late arrival of materials in some parts that are farther from the center. Larry Lassisi now, it's probably in Lokoja, and maybe if you get your reporter from, other villages, interior villages, and so for me, I think at this time we ought to have, gotten past that. Why we're still having all of this is because I believe we go to sleep with INEC the moment we conduct an election and he throw up the desired candidate. We just feel everything is uhuru. He said something. Jega, fantastic job, but were there problems as after the election? Were there issues I identified that ought to have been addressed? Yes, they were. If we had painstakingly, addressed those issues, should we at this stage still be talking about card readers not capturing fingerprint, having to fill incidents form? Because I have handled matters at the election petition tribunals, and so I know where politicians come from. They will tell you, if you remember, it's always like, oh, my strongholds. The card readers did not work in my stronghold, and so a lot of my potential voters were disenfranchised. Even though that is not, admissible, because you need to truly show that these people were all there and they were disenfranchised. But we should not create opportunities, room for this. Because now we're talking about elections in Kogi. What is the number of registered voters? What is the number of voters that have collected card reader, the permanent voters cards? What is the number of those that are actually, on ground? So when you have all of this, because mind you, we have elections that are being nullified in the tribunal now because of some of these associated problems. And so I expected that all of this together, we need to look at them holistically. That was where I expected also that the government ought to have inaugurated a new INEC board immediately they came into power, and not wait 2 weeks to Kogi election, you to hurriedly and inaugurate. Even the board is still not complete. And then now they just have 2 weeks. Some of them are new, and so they will need to first and foremost study the process, understand where the lapses were in going into this other election because of the antics of politicians in Nigeria.
Okay. You were going to say something, but maybe you could just add to it. He said that there shouldn't be any room for any of the politicians to want to latch onto and say, okay, because this was not there, then I'm going to go this way. So what do you think INEC, at this point, we are already on it, INEC should be doing to make sure that things like that, that there are no avenues like that?
I'll start from part of the speech made by the president when he inaugurated the new board of INEC. He said, look, we spend so much money to conduct election.